Man, fucking beautiful, dog. Clean up, very clean, dog.
Alright, what's up YouTube? Today I'll be reacting to some Black Myth Wukong. This is gonna be 30 minutes of lore.
Okay, pause number one. I need...
Okay, so I'm pausing, right? So I can read as well, because maybe it's going too fast. I'm basing my knowledge on what I remember from the first Journey to the West TV show adaptation, 1986. Okay. I can see you editing your stuff. Okay, cool.
I'm recording this after this is already over, so I'm like editing the video and I'm adding clip notes, right? It's a little bit of a lore dump. So what we just witnessed was we just fought against heaven, at least specifically Erlen and Shen. Now in the lore, all right, you know, Wukong, after he tanked out his thing, I'm fast forwarding to the part where he started fighting with heaven. He grew so powerful that at some point he was invited to go to heaven as a guest, right? Because he was so powerful they couldn't fuck with him, right? Because he kind of proved so. And they kind of gave him a title. He demanded a title, like the great sage or something. And Wukong, that's what he demanded. Now heaven granted him you know, the J Emperor and everyone, they granted him a title like Lord of the Stable. Now Wukong isn't exactly smart at the time, nor I guess that's just how he is, right? He wasn't aware if it was a mockery to him, right? They gave him a title, but it's more like he's just a glorified horse stable boy, right? So despite a cool title like Lord of the Horse or Lord of the Steed, it's just a fancy way of saying, you know, you're a stable boy, right? Up here in heaven. So in a way, they kind of like, you know, throw him on the bus and kind of make fun of him. Now he's all happy initially until he overheard the servant shit talking about him and just messing with him, right? And basically he realized, oh, so that's how it is, right? As he's taking care of the horsey, he started drinking on the mess. He started stealing stuff up there, eating stuff. I'm fast forwarding through this. Basically, he just ate all the. He went to the farm, you know, where they keep all the immortal pills. Drank all the immortal pills, and every single one of the pills boost your stat a little, right? Like some of them make you immune to fire, some of them make you immune to more resistant to iron. He drank the whole stock of heaven pills, which practically made him immune to nearly everything. So the fact he went to the furnace, he drank all the heavenly pills. He basically became, you know, impervious to everything. He's like, he became the Chinese Balder, right? You don't know, that's the Norse mythology, right? Who's immune, Balders, right? Who was immune to everything except wood. But what happened is, after that, he went to the garden and he ate all the peaches, right? Now each of the peach are special too, because every single one of the peaches you ate, depending on the size and how ripe it is, you can live up to 100 years to even 1,000 years. And he ate the whole garden of peaches. And now the peaches are super rare. In fact, only the maid can sometimes go to the peach and get a few and serve out to the Jade Emperor for a grand feast. So they usually leave, it's very sacred. Wukong just snuck in there and ate everything. and he became this big immortal, right? So he got through the fact that he's now 1,000 gazillion. He lived for gazillion, right? Because he ate all the peaches. So he never gonna grow old, right? I guess every peach extending your life. He drank all the pills and made him immune to everything, nearly everything on mortal realm. And before this, I didn't get into detail, but he went to hell and he kind of like erased his name and his whole monkey name clan. Sorry, there's kind of like a ambulance outside right now. It's very loud. But he erased his monkey clan and his name off the record of hell. So in a way, you know how like people are destined to die at some point in their life? No matter what you do, you will die at that XYZ time. And that's just destiny. That's what people call it. Well, to him, the fact he erased him and his monkey name, they don't have a death date. So destiny can't come after him. They can't come after Wukong. He's practically immortal, right? So, you know, so after all the shenanigans, that's why he kind of just went to the stable and released all the heavenly horses and completely screw over heaven. The mess made heaven go into chaos. You got the horses just running everywhere, and he just went back home. So what happened was, after he went back home, he practically he went to his monkey clan and they armed for war because they knew war was coming. For heaven's gonna come and exact vengeance. which is why I thought initially when we first started the game that's where the whole story started, when he first get ready to fight Heaven. So what happened? Heaven sent down this general, right? He had I call him the colossal general, the giant general, because he had the power to grow really, really big. That's pretty much notable. Now, obviously, Wukong made a joke out of him, and he just messed him up. And that's why I assume was the first general we just saw, the really big one in the back. And then there was the 4 Heavenly King. They are basically 4 Gate Guardian. They call them the 4 Heavenly King, because there's 4 of them, but they're the Gate Guardian of Heaven. And they each have a legendary artifact, like an umbrella for basically shoot out this wind, this guitar banjo for shoot out this sonic sound for like hurt people, or this, and you know, the gold for shoot out fire. And they have like all legendary weapons. I don't know the precise name, but that's usually the case. And again, we saw 4 Heavenly Kings, and I was like, oh, this must be he gonna find the 4 Heavenly Kings and the colossal general. And according to the original story, he fucked them up very badly, to the point where it kind of traumatized them for later on when he visited them for help. They kind of run away from him because he beat them.
I forgot to mention Wukong also fought Neza, demonic martial prince, and messed him up too. Interesting.
They got traumatized, right? And it wasn't until Heaven was losing so badly, and again, the small soldier, they got messed up really badly by Wukong too. So it wasn't until Heaven, the Jade Emperor, he had a nephew who was also the student of Buddha, called Erlin Shen. Now Erlin Shen was that guy you saw with the 3 eye, right? Now the thing about Erlin Shen is,
if I remember correctly, this guy is also in Smite.
His 3rd eye allowed to see, you know, become a little omnipotent, right? I guess you could say, like, you know the term, oh, you know, I saw this and I opened my 3rd eye. I guess the origin came from Erlang Shen, right? It's like you became a lot more
Wukong's in the game and Erlang Shen's in the game.
So he's a lot more trained. He's been enlightened. He trained under so lore-wise, in Heaven there's 2 big person who's usually in charge. I wouldn't say in charge, but more like everybody revere, everyone respect, because they are the most enlightened, they are the most knowledgeable. They're not ruler, they're not egocentric, but everyone respect them. So I guess you could say, you know, it's like God, right? But I guess in Buddhahood is basically, you know, they are these heavenly celestial court, and you know, the one ruling them is the Jade Emperor, but they all respect to Buddha, and Buddha have many other students, right? Buddha, literally Buddha. Everyone know who Buddha is. You know, the guy who sat on the tree. Now he has his own legend there. I won't go into the detailed Buddha legend, but he's the Buddha have many other students, right? Buddha
is often referred to as a title of those who've been enlightened. Okay.
Literally Buddha. Everyone know who Buddha is. You know, the guy who sat on the tree.
But
now he has his own legend there. I won't go into the detailed Buddha legend, but he's the Buddha is the most enlightened, and he's you know, he's the wisest, the most enlightened, and again the most wise. Right now, once upon a time, he also saw a suffering of another lady who was very selfless, right? And she cared for this. She was like the outcast of the village, but she's very nice, right? She's very a good person, and her life was full of misery, but she died a good person, right? I believe taking care of a child or something. And then he took pity on her, right? And he granted her enlightenment. I believe her name was Bodhisattva. And she's like, I just call her Buddha, dude. The second Buddha, right? You know her because she's like this lady who kind of hold like this glass. You see her many. She looked like a holy lady, right? And she's also wise as Buddha and very humble as Buddha because she lived her life very, you know, humble. And you know, after she became enlightened and become, you know, reached godhood, she's also very wise. Right now, she has a student. Called Erlin Shen, right? And as you can see, obviously, if she's that enlightened, her students should also be enlightened, right? So Erlin Shen is what you call like you know, Dungeons and Dragons.
His dad is a human, and his mom is a god.
This chart of chaotic evil, lawfully good,
and this dude would be like.
Well, Erlin Shen is the definition of lawfully good. He is the good of the good, the goodest of the good.
Yeah.
He is the most
Okay, this is gonna sound really funny, but I'm gonna compare Erlang Shen to Gilliman from Warhammer. Cause I can't think of anyone else except Gilliman. And you know about Gilliman. If you know Warhammer and you know Gilliman, he's the leader of the Ultramarines, and they're all like very good guys for the good. So I'm sure this is Gilliman.
Like hero good. That's why he is, because he's literally the student of Bodhisattva, right?
Yeah, hero good.
I can't pronounce it. I'm sorry, but she's supposed to be her top student, like her main student, right? So he's extremely light. Now he's also the nephew of the Jade Emperor. Now the Jade Emperor asked him for help. He went down and said, "We need to take care of this monkey, right? This monkey who's the causing havoc." And being the student of Buddha, one of the Buddha, he was very powerful, right? So practically they clash, and the thing that confused me in the game so far is because he's such an asshole in the game. Like you saw how he called his dog. I guess in the lore he have a pet dog, but he just called his dog a stupid mutt, and I was like, what the hell was that, right? So I'm a bit confused right now, but I'm just going on what I'm seeing in the game. But why is he so rude? Like, what the heck is wrong with him, right? I don't know what to say, right? So he and he just basically he sounded like he He's like, oh, if I lose, if I win, I'll bring you back, right? And then we're gonna level the mountain. He's gonna basically kill all the monkey on the mountain.
Yeah, he's gonna take revenge and shit.
Or if I lose, I'm gonna be a sole loser. I'm gonna take revenge. So I was like, it doesn't feel like Erlang Shen, because again, he's supposed to be lawfully good, like the goodest of the good. He's Superman, right?
Yeah,
he's not supposed to be that arrogant. He sounds so arrogant in the game, and I'm a bit confused. I'm a little taken back.
Why the fuck did I say Spider-Man?
With Erlang Shen.
I was thinking of Superman.
Right? Now, so and then as you saw, we just fought, and then now the lore wise is, as I said, we're gonna play a little rock paper scissors between Erlang Shen and Wukong, right? Wukong turned to a sparrow, Erlang Shen turned to an eagle, and then Wukong turned to a dog to run away. He turned to a leopard to chase after him and outrun him. Wukong turned to a house to disguise himself, and Erlang Shen, he could see through his disguise with his third eye. But long story short, Erlang Shen beat him. Superman Erlang Shen beat Wukong, and that's one of the most prominent thing about Erlang Shen was he's the goodest of the good, and he is the only one at the time in heaven if I can go toe to toe and beat Wukong, because Wukong is just that powerful, right? There ain't many people that could mess with Wukong at the time, and Wukong, finally got his ass handed him. Now he subdued Wukong. I would say kill him, but like subdue him and arrest him, brought him back to the heavenly court, and afterward he's like, yeah, I gotta go back to meditation or something, right? So he kind of like sayonara, left him with the court, and the heavenly court tried to execute Wukong by all sort of things, whether fire, lightning, cutting it, decapitation, cutting his head off. They did all that. Wukong just laughing at them. As he cut his head off, his head flew around and laughing at them like, ah ha ha, you guys are a joke, right? It was just like, you guys can't do anything to me. I'm immortal. So they tried putting him in the furnace, right? The furnace where they make immortal medicine. The medicine, he drank all of it, so they had to go make more. So in Chinese mythology, what happened is they would put different type of ingredient, including demon, inside the furnace, right? And they would cultivate, right, inside the furnace and turn them into medicine, right? And one of the most brutal ways, they put somebody inside the furnace and they turn them into medicine. Now, you become a powerful medicine, but in a way, it's a brutal way. You kind of incinerate somebody into medicine, right? So that's what they did. They tried to throw Wukong inside the furnace, the medicine making furnace, right?
It's not gonna work.
This one, the medicine sage, right? And he was just screaming in there for like months on end. And at first they just laughed. They're like, aha, he must be dying in there. He's turning into medicine. He's getting what he deserved. But the reality of it is, Wukong, the fire in there wasn't doing anything to him. He was just screaming because the smoke was getting in his eye because it was so smoky in there. And you ever barbecue, you know how much the smoke burned your eyes, right? So eventually he had enough. After like months inside the furnace, he just broke out. After they kind of like opened the furnace to take a look inside to see if he turned to medicine, he broke out, spilled the furnace, and the fire of the furnace poured out onto the ground and spread everywhere. And what happened? It spread down to earth. More to that story later on, right? I will get into that story later on. I assume we're gonna cross it. I saw in the trailer we're gonna cross the burning mountain, right? Which, due to that furnace that he dropped from heaven 1,000 years ago, it will lead to a story later on down the journey to the west. Now, he broke out. He armed himself again with his staff, and he proceeded to wreck heaven because he's back in heaven right now. He just destroyed shit.
Yeah.
And he asked me, where is Erlen Shen? Erlen Shen went back to Bodhisattva, right? Which is like far away, and he's up in heaven 2 or somewhere else, right? Next to meditate. So he's not around to stop Wukong, and Wukong just started destroying heaven and court and everything, and everyone just, the heavenly king getting destroyed by Han Guan Yu, nobody could take him down, right? And eventually, what seemed to be a coincidence was Buddha, not Bodhisattva, but Buddha went and visited heaven, right? Because I believe the Jade Emperor invite Buddha over to drink tea with him.
Oh, this is the part where he's trying to get out of Buddha's
Buddha
palm.
Said, "All right, let me talk to him."
And he went to like
right?
the end of the earth, but it was like his 5 fingers.
Wukong, hey, long story short,
he made a deal with Buddha.
You gotta stop, and Wukong say, "No, fuck you," because hey, you know what? Well, Wukong was like at this point, right? Buddha said, "Hey, escape my palm, and you can escape my palm. You win, and we will all kneel down to you, and you will grant the great sage. You can become the great sage among everybody, above everyone else, above heaven."
Yeah.
And Wukong's like, haha, real funny. So Wukong, at this point, he's very, 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 very powerful, right? With simply one somersault leap, he could jump across the world, right? Like, across half the world. He was that godlike, right? Like, you would say he's probably, like, powerful as Superman, right? Because he was just that fast. And he's like, all right, deal. I'll escape your palm. So Buddha rolled supersize and then opened the palm. And, Wukong, he kind of like say, all right, here I go, and then he leaped somersault off the hand and out a Buddha hand. At least that's what he think at the time. He somersault 5 times, right, away from as far as he came from Buddha, right, and he reached at some point 5 pillars, right, and he thought the 5 pillars was the end of the world, because at the time they didn't know the world was round, right? They thought the world was flat. He thought this was the end of the world. He said, oh, I guess I reached the 5 pillar at the end of the world. I'm gonna write my name on top of this pillar to prove that I escaped Buddha, and Buddha gonna have to, kneel to me. He went and he wrote his name on top of the middle pillar, right? And then, you know what? He even pissed on it, right? On one of the pillar at the bottom, because he's like, oh, well, I've been holding it in, right? Eventually, he looked up, and he realized Buddha just looking at him, and he looked down, he realized he was still in Buddha palm the whole time. And that 5 pillar he saw was Buddha finger. He never escaped Buddha finger. He never did. But it just show you he got overpowered by Buddha in this illusion, and he didn't even realize it, right? And he's like, and then he started throwing a tantrum. He's like, no, that's not fair. And then Buddha's like, you know what? You're not gonna listen anyway. You lost the bet anyway. So so Buddha decided to flip the Buddha palm over and threw up, and then pushed him back onto earth. Basically, throwing him a mountain on top of it, a whole mountain on top of Wukong. And, Wukong was basically trapped under a mountain. Now, Wukong's like, this ain't gonna hold me back. So he kept struggling for hours, right? But eventually the mountain started cracking, right? And the mountain started cracking, and the heaven looked down, the celestial court looked down, they're like, oh shoot, he's free of something. Buddha's like, yeah, no problem.
Why the hell did you put Star Rail music
just throw another 2
with the
mountains
Don
on top
Hong
of it,
inhibitor music?
Yeah. Oh, and to add to that, like, you know what? Just to make sure, because mountain breaks over time, we're gonna put a holy seal on top of the mountain. But
this music is like the part where Don Hong inhibitor opens up that tap in the water.
So
and
just to make sure the mountain doesn't break apart and Wukong cannot escape. So Wukong was basically trapped under a mountain with his head sticking out of the at the corner of the mountain. So basically he had a mountain on top of him, and his whole body just stuck under a mountain. And it was like that for hundreds of years, maybe even like 1,000 years, right? Where he was just trapped under a mountain. Now, because he already attained immortality on this thing, right? He doesn't grow old, he doesn't get hungry, he doesn't need anything, right? But he was just stuck there.
You forgot
and
how
just to contemplate on his
he
mistake,
got his staff.
And be arrogant and turn against
the ocean god's
becoming arrogant for
ocean support pillar
right?
that he took and he turned this
by someone more powerful than you, right? I mean, even though Erlen Shen already humbled him once, he got humbled a second time by Buddha, right? Just through the head on
That
top
will
of
hold
it,
up the ocean.
and basically he stuck there for that mountain. Now, going back to what we just played, right? He the thing if I confuse you the most is like as you saw it played out, right?
Dude, it's really hard to like hear what you're saying.
And to get to the, I'm just gonna
Because you
fast
fucking
forward.
put
So
this
later
music
on,
in the background.
he
too.
doesn't get the bracelet for limit his power until later on when he traveled with a monk, right? So let me just finish the story. So the mountain on top of it, and after 1,000 years, there come this monk, right? This monk, he has a name, Tang Sang. Basically, it's this monk, right? He is if Erlen Shen is humble, this guy is humble times 10, right? Because he's a monk, he basically the goodest of the good. And now Buddha tasked him to go to the journey to the west to fetch a scripture, right?
He's the Tang monk,
to be enlightened.
also known as Tang monk, and he's from the Tang kingdom.
Monk, again, pure humble, the most humblest monk you can think of, right? He was born into royalty. He was born to royalty. He have a brother who's the king. He just gave up his throne. He said, I don't want to be king. I'm going to be a monk, even though I'm royalty, right? So he was almost embodiment of Buddha himself, because that's literally the story of Buddha. Buddha was a prince of India, right? Who became enlightened. So this is like the most humble person you can be, and the most good of the good, right? Monk. Buddha tasked this monk into going into a journey to the west, right? To fetch a scripture in, I guess at the time, India, right, or something like that, all the way in the base, but by foot. So he said, look, he tasked as the monk went on a journey, he had his brother, who was the king, sent 2 guards with him. The 2 guards went with him, but on the road they were attacked by this immortal tiger, right? It's just a regular tiger, but look like crawl on the ground. But its hides cannot be pierced by spear. And the 2 tigers killed the 2 guards. Now the monk ran away because the monk like I'm not a fighter, right? And he just run, right? Because this tiger just killing the guard, and he couldn't do anything about it. Ran into the mountain, and that's where, Buddha did mention that you will run into someone who will help you at the time. Right?
Yes, destiny.
And that's when the monk ran into Wukong. This must have been 1,000 years after he'd been under the mountain, right? And Wukong said, "Hey, can you lift that enchantment just a little?" Now the enchantment is a little lower. It's not on top of the mountain. It's like a little lower. It's reachable, and the monk just have to climb up a little. Can you rip that enchantment off, please, and let me off this mountain? Now before this, Buddha already went to Wukong and told him that the monk will come, and it's your job to guide him. It's part of your redemption. Now, do not mess around unless you want a mountain on your head again. So, Wukong agreed. He's like,
Wukong's like, okay, done.
I'll do it.
Wukong's immortal, but he's pretty much tired enough being under this rock.
Which
I'm sure he wants to go out and exercise a little bit.
Mountain, right? And the first he broke free was, he called his staff, which was, in his ear, right? And then the tiger appeared. The tiger tried to kill the monk, and the monk said, "Don't kill the tiger," right? But then Wukong's like, after 10,000 years, I'm finally free. Just bonk the tiger over the head with his staff, knocking him 1,000 mile into the sky, and it fell down, right? And it just brutalized the tiger, like, oh yeah, great, your hide is completely immortal hide, like can be pierced with metal. Great, I'll knock you to the sky, and you fell down, and it just killed the tiger, right? Of course, the monk's like, you shouldn't kill like that, right? But he eventually. He eventually say, all right, well, the tiger tried to kill us, I killed the tiger. That's just how things work, right? I mean, part of us kind of agree with, Wukong, but at the same time, you need to know this monk is like, just how Buddhism is, right? We don't kill stuff, right? At least it's looked down upon, like you don't kill stuff, right? If you can find a solution, or you be the one, it's rather for you get killed than to kill somebody else, to take another life, right? That's just like the holy rule about Buddhism, right? But it's just how it is, right? So, but the thing about Wukong, he's very human, right? With his personality. So he just killed a tiger, and he kind of like skinned the tiger, and he made a pelt out of the tiger. Now early on, I just saw a clip of Wukong just sitting right there, weighing a pelt of a tiger, and I just remind me that, oh, it's the pelt that basically he killed that immortal tiger, and he skinned the tiger, and he wore like a pelt, right? That became his iconic outfit throughout the journey, right? And the monk just had like, oh my gosh, and he just prayed. He's like, oh, I pray the monkey doesn't go crazy, right? So the monkey said, all right, I'll try with the monk. But on the road, right? Eventually they run into Bandit. Wukong said, yeah, mess around,
Lots
find
of
out,
bandits,
bomb,
lots of
kill
monsters, demons,
smack
creatures.
the bandit, kill the bandit. And again, the monk said, no, you didn't have to kill them. You're that powerful. You didn't have to kill them. But he's like, no, these are bandit, you know? And look, again, you can kind of like see where Wukong is coming from. It's like, the bandit, they fuck around, they find out, right? It's like, just kick their ass. But the monk's like, you shouldn't just kill people. That's just not how it is, right? And he just started getting more rebellious with the monk. He's like, man, you're such a pain in the ass, man. Like, I'm sorry I escort you to the west. And by the way, in case you're wondering, he can't just grab the monk and carry him to the west, right? The Buddha restricted that, say, you can't just hop across the world. You have to go on by foot, right? So that's why he kind of had to try. He started getting more frustrated with the monk, right? Eventually, the monk just, they kind of got in a fight, and then Buddha just split. I don't know. Wukong just split with the monk a little and getting water, right? While the monk is sitting there praying, and the monk is just praying like, hey, how am I going to control this Buddha? Dear Buddha, how am I going to control this monkey that's going out of control? Bodhisattva, the female Buddha who, Master Erlin Shen come down, right? This disguised as a traveler, right? And she told him like, oh, but then she appeared, changed her form. She's like, oh, is it? And then, he prays like, oh, it's good to see you. And she's like, oh, good to see you too. So, I want to catch your meeting. No, that's not how it went. But something like, if you want to control that monkey, here, give him this gift, and she give him a very fancy hat. And you say, hey, give this to the monkey, and maybe he'll be happier with you, right? And whenever he causes trouble, just pray, right? Just pray, do the incantation, pray, and he will stop. So the monk just listened to the Buddha, Bodhisattva, and basically, eventually she met with the monkey, Wukong again, and he's like, hey,
Bodhisattva, what the fuck, man?
I have a gift for you, right?
Bodhisattva.
Now, depends on iteration, he kind of just left it there, and Wukong kind of got curious, and he opened it. He opened the bag, right? And basically, he saw a fancy hat, and he wanted to put it on. So, regardless, he put it on, and the hat turned into the bracelet that we saw early on, if I got placed on his head, Wukong's head. Which then became a curse to him, right? Because whenever he started acting up, the detail for Buddha told him was pray, and he will stop. So he got mad. He said he couldn't take it off. He tried ripping it off his head. He couldn't get it off. So he got mad at the monk for tricking him, and he was about to take the staff and smash over the monk's head and kill the monk. Again, Wukong is a very chaotic character, right? You be like, whoa, you about to commit murder again, But in his point of view, he's like, oh, you tricked me, or I'll kill you, right? And then the monk just started praying, and then his head started, the bracelet on his head, which the hat became, start tightening, and it hurt Wukong really, really, really bad, right? And basically it's the one bracelet. But basically the monk said the monk, all he had to do is pray, do the incantation, and Wukong would get really, really, really injured by it, right? By having that bracelet on his head. It's just a limitation to keep it under control. And after we say, no, look, stop, it hurts too much. And the monk being very nice, stop. Wukong's like, okay, I'll stop. It hurt too much, right? The monk, after praying for like a long time, he's like, okay, this is excruciating pain. And this is when you realize that, there was 1,000 years ago, there's a lot of people if I could stop Wukong, right? Erlin Shen was proven to be one of them, Buddha being the other, and as you can see, Bodhisattva, and eventually throughout the journey, you realize there would have been a lot of people if I could stop Wukong, right? During his rampage against heaven back then. But they just weren't home at the time, right? And it showed you so that's why you see Wukong always had this golden bracelet on his head, right? Because that's the bracelet for the monk Reed to keep him under control from killing people. So you see as throughout the journey to the west, Wukong started killing less and less, right? Because the monk was keeping him under control. Now, I'll get the detail on his companion later on those things, but for now, going back to what we just saw, he just got the bracelet while fighting Erlin Shen, which I'm a little confused about because he doesn't get that bracelet on the head until later on, as I told you through the story. So why did it just suddenly throw it on his head? What's going on, right? Did they kind of slightly change it? Why is it called Black Myth Wukong? Is it because this is a myth? Is it because he's sitting around retelling the story Journey to the West to his monkey friend? And you know how when you retell the story to your friend and you kind of twist the story a little? It kind of like, if I retold you a story about how I get in a fight with the bully down the street, wouldn't I try and make the bully as shitty sounding as possible and I make myself sound like a hero? So that, I assume that's why Erlen Shen, as we played the tutorial, he was such an asshole, because maybe this is what Wukong is retelling the story, saying, oh yeah, Erlen Shen, well, he was such a bully, he was an asshole, he would level the mountain whether I win or lose, it doesn't matter, and he mistreats his dog. Did you know he abused his dog? You know, did you know that? It's like, oh, what, you see? But that's just why, that's just my speculation on why it's so different than what I remember, right, of Journey to the West. And that's just my speculation, right? That's just a little lore dump. I'm gonna unpause it. I'm gonna continue. One of the things Wukong can do is 72 transformation. So very cool thing. Yeah.
Rules game.